Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajaka Ashtotar that Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajaka Ashtotar that Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. All right. So, okay. I know, I just have, this thing is messing up. I know. I know. Just wait a minute. Just be patient. I know. Okay. On the 17th day of December, 2025, in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 14, entitled The Three Modes of Material Nature. Text 11 at the top of page 576. Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin Prakasha Ubhajayate Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad Viviridham Sattvamichyuta Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin Prakasha Ubhajayate Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad Vividham Sattvamichyuta Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin Prakasha Ubhajayate Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad Vividham Sattvamichyuta Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin Prakasha Ubhajayate Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad Vividham Sattvamichyuta. Tapas, you want to chant? Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin Prakasha Ubhajayate Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad Vividham Sattvamichyuta. Bhushan. Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin Prakasha Ubhajayate Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad Vividham Sattvamichyuta. Go ahead, Prabhu. Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin Prakasha Ubhajayate Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad Vividham Sattvamichyuta. Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin Prakasha Ubhajayate Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad Vividham Sattvamichyuta. Bhakta Chad.
Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin
Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin
Prakasha Upajayate
Prakasha Ubhajayate
Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad
Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad
Vidridam Sattvadam Ityuta.
Vividham Sattvamichyuta. Vanessa? Okay.
I want to ask if Antonella can go first, if that's okay.
Okay. Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin
Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin
Prakasha Upajayate
Prakasha Ubhajayate
Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad
Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad
Vidram Sattvam Iti Uta.
Vividham Sattvamichyuta. Vanessa?
Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin
Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin
Prakasha Upajayate
Prakasha Ubhajayate
Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad
Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad
Viviridham Sattvam Ityuta.
Vividham Sattvamichyuta. One more. Freddie.
Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin
Sarvadvareshu Dehesmin
Prakasha Upajayate
Prakasha Ubhajayate
Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad
Jnanam Yada Tada Vidyad
Vividham Sattvam Ityuta.
Vividham Sattvamichyuta. Okay. Sarvadvareshu, in all the gates, Dehe Asmin, in this body, Prakashaha, the quality of illumination. Upajayate develops jnanam, knowledge, yada, when, tada, at that time, vidyat, know, vibridham, increased, sattvam, the mode of goodness, iti uta, thus it is said. Translation. Krishna says to Arjuna, the manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. Purport. There are 9 gates in the body, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, the mouth, the genitals, and the anus. When every gate is illuminated by the symptom of goodness, it should be understood that one has developed the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, one can see things in the right position, one can hear things in the right position, and one can taste things in the right position. One becomes cleansed inside and outside. In every gate, there is development of the symptoms of happiness, and that is the position of goodness. Om jnana timirandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu unmilitam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So, what does this mean? When all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge? Well, I would think, first of all, they're healthy. That is the basic, that you're seeing that there's not a disease in there. But more than that is that illuminated by knowledge. Okay, we're seeing so many things. But when you see this concept of Shastra Chakshus, you see through the eyes of Shastra. So a Krishna conscious person is walking down the street and an ordinary person is walking down the street. And they're all seeing the different trees and the cars and the people and whatever else there is to see. But a truly Krishna conscious person, really enlightened person, sees all of these elements as different energies of Krishna. All of the living entities, those who are conscious, even the trees and things like that. He says, oh, this is a tree, this is a living entity who performed some sinful activity and therefore had to be punished by getting this body of a tree. But still, as a living entity, and while I pass this tree, I'm going to chant Hare Krishna. You know, Haridas Thakur, he said that we should chant at least some of our rounds. You know, he chanted 192 rounds a day. Outside, walking around in the forest or wherever we can find living entities so that they can hear, even if they're ignorant, and they'll be benefited. So this is seeing with the eyes of real knowledge. This is illuminated, right? Illuminated by knowledge. So what is that knowledge? Knowledge is understanding what everything really is, who we are, what this world is, what our body is, what the relationship is, what the source of it is. So the truly Krishna conscious person is always thinking like that. And in fact, it is often said, he sees Krishna everywhere. He sees Krishna's Leela going on everywhere. He sees Krishna's manifestation, the activities of the super soul. So that kind of awareness, that's seeing through the eyes of Shastra, and that's illuminated. Hearing also. Now, of course, the truly Krishna conscious person always tries to hear the name of Krishna, chanting the name of Krishna, even if it's silently and within the mind, it's going on, and it's illuminating everything. But at the same time, we understand from the 7th chapter, Shabda ke Paurusham Nishu. Krishna says, what is it? Rasoham apsukonteya prabhasmi shashisuriyo pranabhaksava vedishu Shabda ke Paurusham Nishu. So in that verse and subsequent verses, Krishna is giving us exactly this chance of experiencing him, of remembering him in our everyday life. He begins with saying, Rasoham apsukanteya, I am the taste of water, O Arjun. You see? Now why is he the taste of water? Well, everything that goes into making the taste of water, the water itself, our tongue, our ability to taste, all of that is result of Krishna's creation. In other words, what is the tongue made of? It's made of material energy, right? and it's conscious because the living entity is in the body. So all of it, the experience of the taste, the water itself, is a result, is Krishna's energy. So you can see Krishna there. So that's the taste, and we have the other elements too, the ears, the touch. All of them can be ways of remembering Krishna, and that means we're illuminated by real knowledge. So that's the idea. That's the mode of goodness, because goodness means that we're, if you recall, he was describing the result of the different modes, is where knowledge expands, is where especially knowledge is prominent. And one is leading a thoughtful life. You're not simply being controlled by the senses all the time. That's the mode of passion. So that's the manifestation of the mode of goodness. Now let's see what the manifestation of the mode of rajas is, mode of passion. Lobha pravittir arambha karmanam shamakspiha prajasyetani jayante vividhe bharatarshava. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruit of activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. Purport. One in the mode of passion is never satisfied with the position he has already acquired. He hankers to increase his position. If he wants to construct a residential house, he tries his best to have a palatial house, as if he would be able to reside in that house eternally. And he develops a great hankering for sense gratification. There is no end to sense gratification. He always wants to remain with his family and in his house and to continue the process of sense gratification. There is no cessation of this. All these symptoms should be understood as characteristic of the mode of passion. So yesterday we were reading, what he says here, about the word matta came in. Anyway, I shared with you some verse from Rishabdev. What Rishabdev? Nunam pramatta kurate vikarma yadindriya pritaya apanoti. He's saying there to his 100 sons, led by Bharata, who later became the king of the world, and this was called Bharata Varsha. Certainly, those who are simply after sense gratification are mad. Nuna pramatta, not just mad, but very mad. Pramatta, karma. Because in the pursuit of that, if that is their only focus, they're sure to perform vikarma. In the chapter 4, I think it was, Krishna said we have to understand the difference between karma, vikarma, and akarma. Now, we're not after either karma, or certainly not vikarma. We're looking for living a life of akarma. Akarma results in a state called naishkarmyam, where whatever you do, because you have to do things to live in this world, but none of it produces any result that will bring you back to another material life. And that really means that all your activities are saturated with devotion to Krishna. That your every breath, everything that you're doing is you're conscious, oh, this is actually part of my service to Krishna. And that completely burns up any karmic reaction that might accrue to it. So, but someone who's simply into satisfying the senses is leading a sinful life. I just read this yesterday, it wasn't in the Bhagavad Gita, where Supreme says any kind of activity just for sense gratification is by nature sinful, if that's the only, and to the degree that you're harming others, in doing it, it makes it even much more sinful in reaction. But it's a sinful act. So, in that verse, Rishabdev is saying that you're performing vikarma, sinful activity, and it's sure to bring you another body, and because it's vikarma, you'll be suffering like anything in that body. So it's completely crazy. For a little temporary sense gratification, you're ensuring a future life of tremendous suffering. So what's the percentage? Rather, a little austerity we take on. In Krishna consciousness, it's not extreme austerity like the yogis. The classic description is they're really into, controlling the senses and performing severe austerity. So, okay, we're living alone, in an oasis in the desert. So it's summertime. Oh, it's even hotter in the desert. So let's go out in the middle of the desert, build some fires around there, and we meditate like that. Then we really get credit for a lot of austerity. See? And if it's wintertime, okay, let's go up the Himalayas, find the source of the Ganges, Gangotri, I think it is, and we'll take a bath up there in the middle of winter and meditate like that. So that extreme austerity is on the material platform. You know, we're not out to torture the body per se. We're simply out to get to the platform where we're not doing anything for sense gratification. Even, you know, taking prasadam, it's a sacrament. You're conscious of the offering, and it's a sacred act. You know, so you don't just overeat all the time. So anyway, that's the mode of goodness, illuminated by knowledge. And the mode of passion we're reading here. When there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptom of great attachment, fruit of activity, intense endeavor, uncontrollable desire, and hankering. So that's sure to bring you back to another body. And in the present age, where there's very little understanding of self-control or rules and regulations, then you're sure to perform all kinds of sinful activity and probably lose the human form of life. So we don't want to fall into the mode of passion. You know, as if very, very anxious to, but you know, nowadays, of course, people are just trying to get a house that they can afford, you know, just to have a house. There's one fellow who actually has a little camp here in the alleyway back here, and you know, he's got poor guy, you know, and I see why he's there, because if it is sunny, happens to be sunny, you know, it's cold out, but the sun is out, he gets sun there because there's nothing blocking the sun. So and he's a little pious, you know. He sees me and he says, you know, doesn't say Hare Krishna. He says, "May God bless you" or something, you know. But that's the material condition. You never know when things are going to go south, and you're on the street, or you come down with some disease, and there's no health care available. You know, this is the material world. So we want to try to get out of here. So that means getting in the mode of goodness and pure goodness, not any of these other. Mode of passion is in great attachment. Lobha, greed becomes very, you know. And then the mode of ignorance, which is the most dangerous. Apakasho pravittischa pramado moha evacha tamasyetani jayante vividhe kurunandana. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. Purport. When there is no illumination, knowledge is absent. One in the mode of ignorance does not work by a regulative principle. He wants to act whimsically for no purpose. Even though he has the capacity to work, he makes no endeavor. This is called illusion. Although consciousness is going on, life is inactive. These are the symptoms of one in the mode of ignorance. It reminds me of right at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, the first chapter, I think it's the 10th verse, and it's describing the nature of people in this Kali Yuga. Prayena alpayushak sabhya kalavasmin yugejana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya yupadruta. Now the word manda means slow, negative, whatever. So the first thing is prayena, which applies to all of these qualities. For the most part, they don't live very long. You know, they have unhealthy habits and just if people live in their 80s, you know, that's hardly anyone lives to 100 these days. So that's the first thing. Don't live very long. Payanal payashak kalavasmin yugejana, the people of this Kali Yuga. Manda, they're lazy in the matter of spiritual endeavor. You know, manda sumanda matayo means misguided. Manda bhagya, unfortunate, and he upadrutaha, always disturbed, always in anxiety. You know, something will happen, or you know, something's bothering me. They don't live very healthy lives. You know, it's just so because of all that, it's not a very auspicious time for practicing yoga and self-control and all these things. And that's why the process of realization was given here by Lord Chaitanya. You know, Krishna, of course, he also taught bhakti here in the Bhagavad Gita. But in the Dwapara Yuga, the process, the process was most prominently deity worship. And in the previous age of the Treta Yuga, it was great sacrifices. And in Satya Yuga, meditation, you see. But in this age, we're not suited for any of that. You know, the sacrifices are way too expensive just to get enough ghee, you know, to do all the we have our little fire sacrifices here, you know, and only the pujari has some ghee to pour in. Otherwise, it's too expensive. You know, we have our little seeds we can put in, but it's you know, it's important, but it's not the central practice that we have. So what is the central practice? Chanting Hare Krishna, chanting, dancing, and when you get tired, take some prasadam, and then, you know. So this is Lord Krishna's mercy coming as Lord Chaitanya. But that reminds me of this description, karmana masamakspaha. Oh, that's what it is. Aprakasho, apravittischa, pramado. There is a madness, right? Pramada, madness. Moha, tamasi etanijay vivridhe kudanandana. So, you know, laziness, uncleanliness, we read this earlier, you know, so this is not auspicious. And I always thought, you know, because they have so many psychologists and psychiatrists, a lot of people are depressed, you know, depression is definitely the mode of ignorance. So the psychiatrists or psychologists, they try to get you, lift you up from the mode of ignorance, at least to the mode of passion. So you'll be into life and you try to want to enjoy again. You know, and that's what to speak of the mode of goodness. I don't even know that there is such a thing, you know. So none of these artificial processes really help us. We need the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita that Krishna gives here, and the faith and the determination to practice this and to lift ourselves at higher modes of nature. And we're coming to the point in the chapter where Krishna or Arjuna will ask, what are the symptoms of one who has transcended the modes? And how does one transcend the modes? That's really the important instruction at the end of the chapter is coming. Okay, we did 12, we did 13, 14 now. Yada sattve pravidhetu pralayam yati deha brit sadottama vadhang lokan amalan pratipadyate. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. Purport. One in goodness attains higher planetary systems like Brahmaloka or Janaloka, and there enjoys godly happiness. The word amalan is significant. It means free from the modes of passion and ignorance. There are impurities in the material world, but the mode of goodness is the purest form of existence in the material world. There are different kinds of planets for different kinds of living entities. Those who die in the mode of goodness are elevated to the planets where great sages and great devotees live. Okay, but we know that just cultivating the mode of goodness is not good enough. Mode of goodness is good ultimately because it serves as a nice platform for cultivating Krishna consciousness. We want to come to the point of Shuddha Sattva, not just Sattva. Shuddha Sattva means pure goodness. Because goodness, there's still some material desire. I want to enjoy wholesome sense gratification, you know, philosophical speculation and walking in the woods, you know, something like that. Not rock music, no intoxication. But it's still attachment. It's mode of the goodness, but it's not good enough. But if in that mode of goodness you practice the disciplines of bhakti yoga, then you can make quick advancement. That's the idea. Okay, so here he's talking about dying in the different modes now. Now, mode of passion. Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate tata pralinas tamasi mudayo nishu jayate. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Purport. Some people have the impression that when the soul reaches the platform of human life, it never goes down again. This is incorrect. According to this verse, if one develops the mode of ignorance, after his death, he is degraded to an animal form of life. From there, one has to again elevate himself by an evolutionary process to come again to the human form of life. Therefore, those who are actually serious about human life should take to the mode of goodness and in good association transcend the modes and become situated in Krishna consciousness. This is the aim of human life. Otherwise, there is no guarantee that the human being will again attain to the human status. Now, referring again back to this famous verse in the second chapter, Krishna says, Neha brikmanashasti pratyabhayo navidyate svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. So this is a very encouraging verse, because what he says there is that in this process, na iha abhikrama, means this process of Krishna consciousness, there is no loss, there is no destruction, nasosti, pratyabhayo navidyate, there is no loss or diminution. Suopam, opam means a little bit, suopam means a very tiny bit. Even a little advancement on this path protects one from the most fearful type of danger, which is to lose the human form of life and be cast down into the animal species, where there is no chance of any advancement. Human life is the one opportunity we have to cultivate this knowledge. Otherwise, we don't have the intelligence. We're just on this platform of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So here it says, when one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. When one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Now, he dies in the mode of ignorance without any Krishna conscious credits. In other words, he hasn't practiced any Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, even if you're in the mode of ignorance, but you say you spent a couple of years in the Hare Krishna movement, or you just chanted Hare Krishna a little bit, then you'll take birth in the human form, and you'll have a chance to associate again. Because it's never loss or diminution. That means that if you did 1%, you have to be able to come to 1.5% in the next life. So that's a great encouragement for, to get someone to at least chant Hare Krishna, or take a little book, or take some prasadam, come to the temple, or check it, and get at least a few credits under their belt, so that they'll want to come to the ashram next life. All right, text 16. Yeah. Karmanak sukatasyahu satvikam nirmalam palam prajasastu palam tukam agyanam tamasak palam. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. But action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. Purport. The result of pious activities in the mode of goodness is pure. Therefore, the sages who are free from all illusion are situated in happiness. But activities in the mode of passion are simply miserable. Any activity for material happiness is bound to be defeated. If, for example, one wants to have a skyscraper, so much human misery has to be undergone before a big skyscraper can be built. The financier has to take much trouble to earn a massive wealth, and those who are slaving to construct the building have to render physical toil. The miseries are there. Thus, the Bhagavad Gita says that in any activity performed under the spell of the mode of passion, there is definitely great misery. There may be a little so-called mental happiness. I have this house or this money. But this is not actual happiness. As far as the mode of ignorance is concerned, the performer is without knowledge, and therefore all his activities result in present misery, and afterwards he will go on toward animal life. Animal life is always miserable. Although, under the spell of illusory energy, Maya, the animals do not understand this. Slaughtering poor animals is also due to the mode of ignorance. The animal killers do not know that in the future the animal will have a body suitable to kill him or kill them. That is the law of nature. In human society, if one kills a man, he has to be hanged. That is the law of nature, of the state. Because of ignorance, people do not perceive that there is a complete state controlled by the Supreme Lord. Every living creature is a son of the Supreme Lord, and he does not tolerate even an ant's being killed. One has to pay for it. So indulgence in animal killing for the taste of the tongue is the grossest kind of ignorance. A human being has no need to kill animals because God has supplied so many nice things. If one indulges in meat eating anyway, it is to be understood that he is acting in ignorance and is making his future very dark. Of all kinds of animal killing, the killing of cows is most vicious because the cow gives us all kinds of pleasure by supplying milk. Cow slaughter is an act of the grossest type of ignorance. In the Vedic literature, Rig Veda 9:46-4, the words Gobi Prinita Matsaram indicate that one who, being fully satisfied by milk, is desirous of killing the cow is in the grossest ignorance. There is also a prayer in the Vedic literature that states, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Ja Jagad Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. My Lord, you are the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmins, and you are the well-wisher of the entire human society and the world. Vishnu Purana 1:1965. The purport is that special mention is given in that prayer for the protection of the cows and the Brahmanas. Brahmanas are the symbol of spiritual education, and cows are the symbol of the most valuable food. These two living creatures, the Brahmins and the cows, must be given all protection. That is real advancement of civilization. In modern human society, spiritual knowledge is neglected and cow killing is encouraged. It is to be understood then that human society is advancing in the wrong direction and is clearing the path to its own condemnation. A civilization which guides the citizens to become animals in their next lives is certainly not a human civilization. The present human civilization is, of course, grossly misled by the modes of passion and ignorance. It is a very dangerous age, and all nations should take care to provide the easiest process, Krishna consciousness, to save humanity from the greatest danger. Hare Krishna. So Krishna is he's describing, these different destinations and effects of living in the mode of goodness and the passion and ignorance. And we can see we should be warned by this and be, serious, not to let these lower modes become dominant in our lives. Krishna consciousness is designed, if you follow the rules and regulations, to cultivate the mode of goodness, and even beyond that, the mode of pure goodness and going back home, back to Godhead. So we're given this knowledge, and it's meant to be internalized and also propagated. That's one of the things Krishna says near the end of this Bhagavad Gita, that those who try to teach this knowledge or try to give this to others are more dear to me than any other devotees. Because Krishna is the father of all, and he sees all the suffering souls without the knowledge, without this chance. So at least for the human beings, it's imperative that they become exposed to this knowledge, and that somehow or other we instill a desire to learn more and to live by it, by this knowledge ourselves. Okay. Now, one thing I was thinking of when I read the translation of this verse, the Bhagavad Gita repeats various themes, and one of this verse that anyone who attends my Bhagavad Gita class has heard this verse quoted at least 10 times, if not more. Yehi sangsparsha jab boga dukkha yona evate yajantabantang konteya nateshu ramate buddha. Those who are intelligent do not participate in the pleasures that are caused by the contact of the senses with their objects. O son of Kunti, such pleasures are the sources of all misery. They have a beginning and end, and therefore the wise do not participate in them, take part in it. So this is a central principle. If we allow the senses to grab our consciousness and drag us around, then we have a very dark future. We can easily, especially in this world, where there's, people don't know. You go shopping, you go to Vaughn's or you go to Ralph's or somewhere, and there's a meat department. You go in the back there, and it's all packed and packaged very nicely. You're not at all conscious that there was this suffering animal gave his body for this slab of meat. It's just not there. And so that just becomes a regular thing that you do. Nobody realizes or very few, that it's an evil thing, and it has tremendous consequences for your future life. People, if you're a little intelligent, I became a vegetarian before I even believed in God, because I was just, there was the ethical aspect, but also the health aspect, the economic aspect, and we know also that it's a tremendous burden on the environment. You're reading about the cows and all the things. It's just disastrous in every kind of way. So, So is it really that difficult? It wasn't for me to become a vegetarian. This is before, of course, I became a prasadamarian. That was really includes veg. But just a little enlightenment. Just understand the tremendous suffering that it produces. It's not necessary. You can live a healthier life, and much. But I've also noticed that over the years that people who are vegetarians are much more easily interested in Krishna consciousness, and that's in the Shastra. What is that? Right, the second verse of the whole 10th canto. I think Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukadev to now please describe, Krishna's Leela. Navritta tarshai rupagiyamanad bhavaushada shrota manobiraman ka uttama shloka gunanavarat puman varajeta puman varajavina pashugnat. A pashugnat is literally an animal killer. And it also indicates, in a larger sense, killing the soul. You can't kill the soul, but complete materialist. But Pashugna literally means animal. So he said Navritta Tarsha. Now, Navritta Tarsha means it describes the pure devotees who are free from all thirst or all desire for material pleasure. Ubagiyamana, when they chant or they sing the glories of the Lord, Bhavaushada, it serves as a medicine for curing the entanglement in birth and death. Bhava Aushadi, and it's not a bitter medicine. Shrodra Mano Abhiramat. It delights and pleases the mind and the ears. So now the next question is, who would give it up? Kauttama Shloka Gunanavarat. Gunanavarat means description of the Uttama Shloka Gunana means the description, the songs of Uttama Shloka. Uttama Shloka is a great name for Krishna. Means he who is glorified in the best of shlokas, the best of poems. Okay. Who would give it up? Except one who is a meat eater, gross meat eater, or committing spiritual suicide in that way. So that's one of the things here. This cow protection, which would we did 16. Okay. So he probably emphasizes that this business of slaughtering animals, how much it's evidence of the mode of passion and ignorance. So Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hidayaja. So Krishna is especially concerned with the welfare of the cows and the Brahmins, which are two major pillars of the Vedic culture, of the spiritual side. The cow, because giving the milk, and you need the ghee from the sacrifices and like that. And Krishna is a cowherd boy. That's why he's a king. And Brahmins, they're the repositories of the knowledge. You can't really be a proper Brahmin unless you're Vaishnav, Brahmin Vaishnav. So they're essential in every society, and they should be protected and nourished. So this is what we wanted. And so here he's giving again, Rajasis to Palam Dukam. Activity, and Rajas, and it's impelled by the desire to enjoy, and there's some passing pleasure there. But that, Prabhupada says in another passage, that's the worst enemy of the living entity. The happiness that comes, even if it's fleeting, from sense gratification, because it induces you to do it again and yet again, and it plants all of these desire seeds in your consciousness, which are there when you leave the body and takes you another body. And if it's really degraded, you get it down. You go down to the lower species. So many verses. Here's another one of my favorites. Labdva sudurlamamidam bahusam bhavante manusham artadam anityam api adhira turnam yateta napateda namityavad nikshe yasaya vishaya kalusarvataksyan. Perfectly, very appropriate for this chapter. So you have attained after many, many births the very rare human form of life. Labdva sudurlabham. labdva sudurlabam bahusam bhavantem. Rare form of you after many births, coming up through the species. Now you're a human being, manusham, same word, manusham, manu. Artadam, very important concept. Artadam means facilitating the gain of the ultimate goal in life. Artha means the ultimate thing. Artha is something of value. It often means money or anything like that. But swarta means the goal of the soul. So artadam. But like all bodies, it's temporary. So artadam anityam, it's not eternal. So one has to be dhira, very thoughtful and calm and thoughtful. And with that, in that thoughtful mood, turnam yateta, without wasting any time, strive. We have to strive for this purity. Yateta, as long as you're still alive, you haven't died yet. Turnam yatetam anumrityu yavat nikshayasaya. Strive for the ultimate good. Not even the so-called good of a very nice, peaceful mode of goodness life. No, that's not good enough. Strive for the ultimate good, nikshayasa, of complete purity, love for Krishna, return back to Godhead. Because after all, Vishaya Kalasarva Taksat, and all these other bodies we've been through so many millions of births, we've had so many varieties of Vishaya, sense gratification, and look what it's got us. Another body for birth, old age, disease, and death. So don't be tempted about any mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, any kind of sense gratification. Rather, learn how to enjoy by satisfying Krishna's senses. That's the ultimate goal. Bhajaniya Padama Purusha Sukha Matra Swasukat Bam. This is a very nice little motto. It's a quote from the Sandarbhas, I'm not sure which one, of Jiva Goswami. And it's very simple. It's a condensation of the famous verse, Anyabhilashata Shunyam. Bhajaniya Padama Purusha. This is very easy to understand. Bhajaniya means the worshipable one. Who is it? Padama Purusha, the Supreme Person, Krishna, God. Now, what about him? Bhajaniya Padama Sukha Matra. Only his happiness. Swasukatmam. Only take one's own happiness only in giving happiness to the Lord. That's where, and because his ability to enjoy is unlimited and eternal, if we actually are able to hook into that, then we can also join that and always be happy in any circumstance, even at the point of death. When we had this experience with Rajendra Nandana, he was so peaceful at the end. I wasn't able to be there. I severely sprained my ankle. I could hardly walk at that point. This was a few years ago, just before the pandemic hit. But he found out he had cancer. It was a surprise. He had retired, and he gave wonderful classes. They're online, right? You have a little, don't you have a thing? Rajendra Nandana's classes. They're worth finding. Because he had spent years, he had his wife here, and he had his boy grew up here. So he had an apartment here. He'd come back. But he would go and sell things, at fairs and things to support everything. And then he would spend months in Mayapur, go on Parakram, and he learned so much. He would learn so much from Jananivas and Pankajanri, the two pujaris. They'd been there for 40 years, and very famous. And he would accept them as Shiksha Guru. He told me about that. But he became very advanced. And when it happened, he was very accepting. He came, I remember the last time he came here, I think it was Radhashtami. And you could see he was on a different platform. He was suffering pain, but his consciousness was calm. And he was resigned to everything. And those who were there, I think Mukunda Charan, he spent a day, at least a day, if not more, without sleep at the end of his bed, just maybe speaking to him, being with him. So then he was one of us, but he achieved a very high state of consciousness at the time. Okay, you want to add something? Or add something or ask something?
Yeah, I have some comment on that. Yeah, so Rajendran Prabhu, the day he got the cancer confirmation, he actually came to the temple and he was laughing with me, telling, Tapas, I got that ticket of back home, back to Godhead.
Really?
And I saw my father also died in cancer, the difference, the huge delta, like my father, he was so afraid of death when the cancer, he got diagnosed. He called me in panic. And Rajendran Prabhu, he came laughingly telling, Tapas, I got the ticket of back home, back to God.
Amazing.
That's huge. I can see the both person compare side by
Yeah,
side.
yeah. Rajendrana, he was very advanced in those classes. They're recorded. They're very nice. So that's a result of serious Krishna consciousness, and you know, he was a wonderful devotee. So it's encouraging because he was one of us. You know, he was American, and he wasn't raised in a devotee family, but he took it very seriously. Okay, now did we do 16? Yes, we did do 16. So let's do 17, and then we'll do a few poems. Satpat sanjayate jnanam Rajaso loba evacha Prabhada moha tamaso Bhavato jnanam evacha. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance develop foolishness, madness, and illusion. Purport: since the present civilization is not very congenial to the living entities, Krishna consciousness is recommended. Though Krishna consciousness, through Krishna consciousness, society will develop the mode of goodness. When the mode of goodness is developed, people will see things as they are. In the mode of ignorance, people are just like animals and cannot see things clearly. In the mode of ignorance, for example, they do not see that by killing one animal, they are taking the chance of being killed by the same animal in the next life. Because people have no education in actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. To stop this irresponsibility, education for developing the mode of goodness of the people in general must be there. When they are actually educated in the mode of goodness, they will become sober in full knowledge of things as they are. Then people will be happy and prosperous. Even if the majority of the people are unhappy and prosperous, if a certain percentage of the population develops Krishna consciousness and becomes situated in the mode of goodness, then there is the possibility for peace and prosperity all over the world. Otherwise, if the world is devoted to the modes of passion and ignorance, there can be no peace or prosperity. In the mode of passion, people become greedy, and their hankering for sense enjoyment has no limit. One can see that even if one has enough money and adequate arrangements for sense gratification, there is neither happiness nor peace of mind. That is not possible because one is situated in the mode of passion. If one wants happiness at all, his money will not help him. He has to elevate himself to the mode of goodness by practicing Krishna consciousness. When one is engaged in the mode of passion, not only is he mentally unhappy, but his profession and occupation are also very troublesome. He has to devise so many plans and schemes to acquire enough money to maintain his status quo. This is all miserable. In the mode of ignorance, people become mad. Being distressed by their circumstances, they take shelter of intoxication, and thus they sink further into ignorance. Their future in life is very dark. So, let's some upbeat poems from the last few minutes. It's a very sobering chapter. So yesterday, I think we shared one verse describing Krishna entering the forest. So then after the boys and the cows, Krishna leaves, and they walk, and then they're free, And so then Krishna is just running on the bank of the Yamuna with Balaram, and the boys and the cows are all behind him. "Let's go," said Krishna, "don't delay at all." And he and Balaram began to run ahead of all their cows and friends. Okay. "Let's go," said Krishna, "don't delay at all." And he and Balaram began to run ahead of all the coward friends who called, "Oh Krishna, Rama, let us join the fun." And off they ran to Braja's forest haunts, to play in every bower, grove, and sward. A sward is a meadow. Play in every bower, grove, and sward. The boys would tease their friend with playful taunts, forgetting his position as the Lord. Shri Krishna is inviting us as well to join him in his pastimes which enthrall. The wise heed Krishna when they hear him tell, "Let's go, my friends, do not delay at all." He's asking us to join him, you see, like that. So here's one line that I made up. I forget there was a devotee here. It inspired me. It's a one-liner. It says, "O wretched mind, just worship Shri Radha Krishna Chandra and dive into an ocean full of endless bliss and wonder." You can all memorize that. And then you can just instruct your mind. Okay, let's get ready for the kirtan. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.